Today, I want to go into a PMM mock interview, and it's pretty simple. It's why product marketing management. Hey everyone, I'm super excited to be here today to do a mock product marketing management interview with Jeremy. We're going to be getting into the interview details in just a moment, but before we do, Jeremy, could you just tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. First of all, thanks so much for having me on, Stephen. Thanks everyone for listening in. I have a little bit of an interesting background from a tech perspective because I actually got started as a kindergarten teacher back in the day, back in Brooklyn. But I think my sort of experience of going from kindergarten teaching to working at Apple, doing product marketing at LinkedIn, and now doing product marketing at Khan Academy shows that almost anything is possible in this industry if you want it badly enough. So I hope you'll follow in my footsteps no matter where you're coming from. That being said, in addition to Khan Academy, I also run a website called breakinto.tech to help anyone explore careers, get a sense of whether product management or product marketing might be a better fit for you. And then I highly recommend services like the one that Stephen runs to really close the deal and land an awesome job.
Awesome. Well, super excited to have you and love hearing those divergent stories through tech. And yeah, for those of you watching, Exponent helps people with their tech interviews. We help people with product management, product marketing management, which we'll focus on today, TPM, software engineering, and more. And we have courses, coaching, and community platforms built by FANG, PM, and PMM interviewers to help you with the interviews. So today I want to go into a PMM mock interview. And so we're going to be starting with a very behavioral focused PMM interview question that is often a question asked that people may not think to prepare for, but is very critical to the success of a successful PMM interview. And it's pretty simple. It's why product marketing management? So the question might be asked in conversational tone, or might be like, oh, so Jeremy, like, why are you interested in being a PMM, or why do you like product marketing management? And so, Jeremy, whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and jump into how you would answer that question.
Yeah, great question, Stephen. So I think for me, product marketing really comes down to three things. I think about a good product marketer knowing their audience cold, almost having a Vulcan mind meld, if you will, with the folks on the other side of the screen. I think about them being incredible storytellers, not just understanding their audience, but speaking their language, really giving them something that they can get excited about and get behind. And then finally, to execute on that, you have to be awesome cross-functionally, working with product managers, engineers, data scientists, designers, everyone under the sun practically, to bring those stories to life and really activate your audience. And so when I think about those three things, I really think about the three superpowers that I brought to everything I've done in my career, even as a kindergarten teacher back in Brooklyn. So first of all, on this idea of sort of understanding the audience, to serve my kids in Bed-Stuy, I had to understand exactly where those kids were coming from. So I visited their homes, I got to know their families, I surveyed their parents, and I really made sure that when the kids walked into my classroom, they weren't coming in as just sort of random student number 21 or student number 28, but actually full-fledged human beings with needs and sort of pains that had to be served. And because of that, I was able to understand where they were coming from and serve them well. Which leads to my second point, which is to inspire 5- and 6-year-olds, you really have to be a master storyteller. You have to engage their imagination and get them excited about something, even if they'd rather be playing Game Boy than learning to read. And so by using that sort of technique of understanding my audience, communicating in their language, getting them pumped up and excited, I was able to have all of my students reading at a first grade level by the end of kindergarten, which is unheard of in that neighborhood. And that really speaks to that ability to sort of get folks engaged, get them excited. And then third and finally, there's this piece about, can you work cross-functionally? Can you be a member of a larger team? And even though every teacher has the ability to close the door in their classroom and do their own thing, that's never the way that I taught. I always thought that I could have the best impact in my kids' lives if I worked with a full team of literacy specialists, school counselors, psychologists, to really understand the whole child and to serve all of their needs in a really holistic way. And so again, with those three things in mind, can you understand your audience? Can you speak their language and tell powerful stories? And can you work with teammates to deliver really awesome experiences? That's what I've done throughout the course of my career. And that's why I'm so excited about product marketing.
Awesome. Well, Jeremy, I just have one quick follow-up question, which is, what is something that you find challenging about product marketing? Or, where are some times that you perceive to have weaknesses or difficulties with product marketing for yourself?
Yeah, definitely. Because I think even with that background, there's always room for improvement. One of the things that I've certainly tried to work on in the course of my career is just being more effective at using data to tell important stories. So for example, I might have all these anecdotes about a given student in my classroom, And that might be well enough to sort of inform my understanding of the student. But if I want to get the school psychologist or the principal involved, maybe they think more in sort of an analytical way of like, hey, how are their test scores looking? What are we seeing in terms of attendance rates? And so really sort of making sure that I'm telling the case on a very emotional and sort of human level, but also on an analytical level is so critical. And so I've really pushed myself to learn SQL, to do more visualizations using Tableau. And I think I've been able to sort of get the attention of folks like product managers and data scientists using techniques like that.
That's awesome. Okay, well, Jeremy, we can kind of wrap this one. This is usually a quick one that we just have a little bit of a conversational tone. And usually the thing that I always love to ask first is, how do you think that went? Or what do you think was effective about the answer? And just to give you my right off the bat thoughts, like super effective, super crisp, super clear. I have a lot of notes about what I think you did well in that interview.
Yeah, so it's interesting because having gone from the interviewer side back to the interviewee side, I can definitely empathize. There's a lot of nerves, even in a practice round like this one. So I want folks out there listening to say, hey, like, I feel your pain. That being said, I do think the thing that I always recommend to folks is whenever possible, especially because those nerves do tend to come in, have a structure that you can fall back upon. And so that way, even if you forget what you really wanted to say, you can sort of tick those key points off one by one. And so being able to break down the product marketing role into these key components and then tie that back to my own experience, I think said, hey, as sort of like excited as I am to deliver this answer, I always have that skeleton to return to in the heat of the moment.
Got it. Love it. Those are great thoughts. And Jeremy, again, I thought this was a really effective interview answer, and I'm going to just run through the details of what I wrote down as to why I think this is such an effective answer. I think right off the bat, when you started off, you explained what product marketing management is. You were like, here are the 3 ways I see product marketing management. One, it was a unique take on it. It was like your own opinion. And secondly, it showed that you had thought about the role. And I think that advanced level of thinking is really, really critical to anyone interviewing for product marketing management, because if you don't really understand the role, or if you don't understand what it is, how can you articulate why you like to do that? So I thought that was really excellent. I thought you also had this very non-traditional answer of how your experience as a kindergarten teacher bled through to today to being a great PMM. And I think that was really cool, really ear-catching in terms of just, wow, like that's a cool answer or a cool experience, and how does that tie together? But you really weaved those things together. And that was my next point, which is, I think one thing that's really effective about these behavioral interview questions is crafting a story of why you are a good fit for the company and why the company is a good fit for you and how you can grow together. And I felt like a really clear melding of like, okay, this is the role that exists, and this is what I have, and hear how they really blend together. And then, yeah, lastly, I just thought you handled your calm, cool. I asked you a follow-up question that we hadn't talked about beforehand, but you were able to answer it and really able to be eager and excited. And I think you expressed a lot of humility in that too, which I think is really, really important for anyone working in any role, really, but especially for product marketing management. So yeah, any thoughts, comments, reactions to anything I just said before we sort of wrap?
No, I think that's great. And I think the key here is like, hopefully this illustrates that you don't have to have a ton of tech experience to get started in tech. And there's always that sort of chicken or the egg question about, hey, I haven't been a product marketer or a product manager before. Do I even belong in this conversation? Well, if you can figure out the commonalities between where you've been and where you want to go next, I think you can tell a compelling story, just like a good marketer has to do day to day anyway.
Yeah, and in many ways, like this interview is an instance of marketing yourself. And I really love that point, Jeremy, which is like people can definitely break into tech if they want to. I mean, that's literally the name of your site, but and it can seem very daunting, but it really just takes a little bit of learning and understanding what the role is like and understanding how you are a good fit for that role. So I really love that encouraging kind of atmosphere and tone. Any other like tips for people with behavioral questions for PMM interviews, or anything else that you wanted to share before we close out the video?
Yeah, I do think in terms of behavioral questions, it's always important to really think through like, what are the key things you want to hit upon? Because I know that a lot of times for myself, especially, I can get lost in all the details and go on these very circuitous detours. And I think if you can always boil it down to those 3 things, whether you call it CAR, challenge, action, result, or STAR, situation, task, action, results, you're going to say, hey, who's the bad guy? Who's the Darth Vader in the story that I was up against? In my case, it might be the challenges that my students faced, all the sort of things they had going against them and the headwinds they were facing. And then the actions. What did you specifically do to serve them? How did you make sure that you overcame it in a very heroic way? Kind of like Luke Skywalker going into the Death Star. And then finally, the result. What's that happy ending where the galaxy is saved, peace and justice are restored to the universe, and you can show off a clear outcome for what you've done. I think if you can nail those 3 points, you can nail pretty much any question thrown your way.
Love it. I love it, Jeremy. I love the idea of structure too, as just a place that you can fall back on. And I think you used it effectively, and not one way I do see it is that people over structure their answer, or they're reading off a piece of paper. You have the structure as very much an outline, and then you kind of fill it in with your own candid thoughts and ideas.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks everyone for watching. Thanks, Jeremy, for being on the show. For those of you who are watching, if you are already an Exponent member, please comment below and join in our Slack channel and message around if you have any other questions about this video or more. If you're not yet an Exponent user, definitely check us out at tryexponent.com, or comment on this video on YouTube, like, subscribe, let us know, and we'd love to help you as much as we can. And we'll make sure to have Jeremy help answer some of the questions in the comments as well. So again, thanks for watching, and thanks, Jeremy, for being on the show, and good luck on your upcoming interview.